Hey, hey, it's Griff Nielsen again with Lifelong Fitness. Welcome back for Nutrition is Life week number 3. Well, this topic might be, I don't know if this isn't the best salesmanship, but this might be the most boring out of the 6-part series, but in my opinion, as far as practicality, this one takes the cake. Now, conceptually, as far as like nutritional principles, which affects our biochemistry, that was week number 2, affecting and controlling our blood sugar. That is by far, as far as managing our physiology, the most important. This, as far as practicality, is by far the most important out of the series, and I think you're going to find out why. Now, before we get started here, let me just say this. We live in a world that worships at the altar of convenience and offers our health collectively as the sacrificial lamb. And what do I mean by that? We live in a culture where we're in a hurry. We almost wear that as a badge of honor. Oh, I'm so much in a hurry. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And I'm not negating that. I'm busy. You're busy. Nobody's disputing that. That just seems to be our Western way. Fair enough. I want to let you in on a little secret that might be a little bit inconvenient, but yet it's truth. And here it is. If you think you can be healthy, lose weight, and sustain a healthy lifestyle without meal planning and executing that meal plan by eating it each and every day at the appropriate times. So all your food prep, getting it ready for the day. If you think you can get away with that and still lose weight, still be healthy, I hate to tell you, but you're living a pipe dream. It is impossible. So what we're going to talk about today, my friends, is how and why meal planning and also frequency of eating is so important. Now, again, that's kind of a modern day paradox. To eat frequently is not very convenient, but yet it is absolutely essential. So let's dive right in. Let's find out why I should eat frequently. Why is this an important concept? Now, you've seen this graph before. This was one of the same slides that you saw in week number 2. Our normal blood sugar levels is what we are going for. Bring my mouse in, here we go. This is what we are looking for. We do not want this radical spike, the highs and lows of our blood sugar. And I'm not going to reiterate why that's all in week number 2, but it plays into the same basic tenet, and that is that controlling your blood sugar is the holy grail of health, and eating frequently maintains healthy blood sugar. Okay? Eating, I know this is going to be a shock for some, but eating 3 square meals per day is not how we are designed to eat, at least for the vast majority of us. Now, there might be exceptions with some, but for most of us, eating frequently maintains healthy blood sugar, provided that you're asking your 2 questions. Is it natural? And what is the glycemic load of the food that I'm eating? Remember, it's those 2 questions that are going to literally save you not only a lot of time, but make your life a heck of a lot easier and ensure that you're eating foods that are conducive to your health. Okay? So when you eat frequently, just to recap here, provided that it's natural foods from the earth, what happens is you literally start to stabilize your blood sugar. You literally start to bring it into homeostatic levels. And as I showed you in week number 2, you know exactly why that's advantageous. If you have blood sugar that's all over the place, remember, high blood sugar equals high insulin. High insulin equals fat storage. High insulin also equals disease and metabolic syndrome. That's not what we want. Okay? So let's look at the benefits. Okay, let's not just look at, oh man, I got to eat all the time. Oh, this is going to be a burden. Just hold your horses. It is a little bit of a lifestyle change, but let's look at the benefits. Okay, see if I can sell you on this. First of all, most people that come into lifelong fitness are very interested in weight loss, or at least weight maintenance. Okay? That said, if you eat frequently, it has been shown that it helps stoke your metabolism. It stokes it up, revs it up. Now, that's a really good benefit, isn't it? That lends itself directly to weight loss. Not only that, once you get to the point that you are satisfied with, it helps with weight maintenance. It helps maintain a good, healthy weight. Okay, so pretty good benefit there. Let's go on. When you're eating frequently, provided that you are leading a physically active life, which I assume you are, now that you're part of the Lifelong Fitness family, there are key hormones that are integral in exercise recovery. Now, let me just hurry, brief 2-second physiology lesson. When you come into the gym or when you go running or whatever form of exercise you're doing, essentially what you do is you break down muscle, and you do that via a hormone called cortisol. Now, this is the chemical, I'm see my mouse here, the chemical representation of cortisol. Now, that's not a bad thing. It helps break down your muscles. But let's say you come to the gym and you work out really hard. And you bust your butt and you think to yourself, wow, I'm excited to gain some more muscle. I'm excited to get stronger. I'm excited to lose some weight here. Well, you've got something to consider that most people do not. Here's what you need to consider. Anytime you get into exercise recovery, what you're basically doing is you are eliciting what's known as an anabolic hormonal response. In men and women, elevations of human growth hormone, insulin-like growth factor, testosterone are elevated. These key hormones are elevated to the point in which they help your body recover from exercise. Literally, they help synthesize muscle, literally at the level of DNA and RNA. Okay? This is an anabolic response. Now, again, going back to our little hormone right here, that cortisol is what's known as catabolic. Now, that's fine because cortisol helps break down the muscle so that you can therefore build it back up via an anabolic response. Here's the problem. Most people get their catabolic response via cortisol when they're in the gym, and that's fine. It breaks down the muscle, that's catabolic. And then they don't go home and eat food that has an anabolic response. So what they're left with is hormonal disarray and muscle confusion. The muscle needs to have amino acids via food. It needs hormones. It needs testosterone. It needs human growth hormone. It needs insulin-like growth factors. These are all hormones that help your muscles repair, help you tone up, firm up, shed body fat. Okay, are you following me? Without that, it's akin to coming to the gym and lifting weights and getting nothing in return. Now, I don't know about you, but that's akin to banging your head against the wall. It's futile. You don't get anything from it. So, what I'm telling you is that when you eat frequently, it helps your body build a healthy anabolic hormonal profile. It puts cortisol at bay because cortisol's already done its job in breaking down the muscle, and it brings in anabolic hormones to counteract them. And once you get those hormones circulating in your blood, all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you're a Greek god or goddess. Right? Oh, okay, maybe not, but for some of you, right? But we all have our goals, realistically, and we all cannot escape the fact that physiologically we are beholden to these hormones. Okay? Now, with that in mind, if our cortisol is still high. Well, cortisol is one of our chief stress hormones. So if our cortisol is high, then we have, by physiological definition, more stress. Okay? As I've gone through my holistic practitioner program for the last 3 years, I've been fortunate enough to know and learn about the catastrophic effects of elevated chronic cortisol levels. And we've gone deeply into this, and it's been fascinating to learn just really what goes on. So if we're not eating frequently, if we don't have this cortisol, this catabolic versus anabolic response, and cortisol is left to run rampant, well, then by definition, we are going to be stressed out a little bit more. Okay? Which leads into mood control. If you're stressed out, that plays into your mood. You're going to be irritable, you're going to be snappy, short. I'm sure that's not exactly a good investment for the relationships in your life, right? And so now this is a perfect example. We see how nutrition starts to play into every facet, every area of our life. And you can't escape it. It affects physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of it. So we want healthy hormones. And by eating frequently, we ensure, at least to some extent, there's other factors, of course, but from a nutritional standpoint, on this base that we're covering, we are aiming for healthy hormones. One last thing, promotes better sleep. Higher cortisol is almost a death wish for sleep. When you balance it, you can sleep better. So I don't know about you, but I think that this is a pretty good petition for eating healthy, for eating well. I think eating frequently isn't as much of a drag once we start to understand the benefits that are associated and attached. Okay? So let's answer the question, how often should I eat? Now, there's a few things here. It first depends on your metabolic type. Now, this topic is well beyond the scope of this lecture. This is a topic that is more in the realm of holistic health. We touch on it briefly here at Lifelong Fitness. I'm actually thinking about doing a certain faction of Lifelong Fitness that is devoted to holistic health. I'm thinking about it extremely seriously, actually. And in that vein, we will focus more on metabolic type. But for now, your trainer will give you a general idea of what your metabolic type is. Based on that, it might help fluctuate how much, or determine rather, how much you should eat. For example, if you are a carbohydrate type, it might not be requisite to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You could probably get away with 3 square meals and be just fine from a metabolic standpoint. A protein type, which is on the other end of the spectrum, would be just the antithesis of that. You would want to be eating probably every 2 to 3 hours and no more than that. It also depends on your activity level. If you are intensely training, if you are an endurance athlete, you want to be eating more frequently. If you are staying at home and not as active, well, then obviously it should be a little bit less. But regardless, you do want to make sure that you are eating consistently and frequently. You never really shed the frequency pattern, you just alter your calories. I hope that makes sense. You're not cutting down your frequency. You really start to cut down your calories. But there is times, depending on your activity level, where you might eat every 3 or 4 hours rather than every 2. You know, depending on your metabolic type, depending on your activity level, depending on your stress levels. If you're highly stressed, it is requisite that you eat more because, and especially to get some protein and fat in you. Again, those are not bad because that helps in the synthesis of cortisol, which is one of your primary stress hormones, which you need. It also helps in the synthesis of cholesterol, which synthesizes other hormones, which combat cortisol and helps keep it balanced. Okay, I'm not too concerned that you understand all of that. Just know the basics here, the bullet points. I just want to give you a little bit of detail as to why. So in general, eat every 2 to 4 hours when your body tells you to, so be intuitive about it. Your body's saying, I'm hungry. Don't go, oh, well, I'm on a low calorie diet. No, eat. That's your body telling you that I am hungry. I need to build my metabolism. Now, obviously, there is a huge gap and difference between instinctually eating and intuitively eating and eating out of gluttony. And I think we all know what that is. If you're addicted to sugar, sometimes that line is blurred. If you're addicted to food, the line is also blurred. So as your trainer gives you a good calorie range, just stay within that range. And if you need to eat more, go to the higher end of the range. If you don't feel like it, go to the lower end of the range. Okay? Fair enough? So let's talk about when I should eat. Reverse first and foremost what you have been conditioned to believe. What you've been conditioned to believe is on the left, on our little diagram here. This is conducive to a faulty metabolism. And remember, it's all about building a healthy metabolism. So, you want to eat literally up to 25% of your calories at breakfast, and then you taper down your calories as the day progresses. That graphic is no joke. I know we look at it, we laugh. That is absolutely no joke. And let me ask you something. What does the average American do? Do they do the right or the left? They do the left. And this is what we get. This is why 65% of us are either overweight or obese. Now, that's not to point fingers. That's just to educate and to inform so that we have better information to go off of, physiological information. Okay? So, pretty simple concept here, but hugely, hugely important. I can't tell you how important this is. What this will do to your metabolism is unbelievable. Let me just say this, and this is important because I've had a lot of clients over nearly 16 years of coaching on this tell me, well, I'm just not hungry in the morning, Griff. Well, that might be true, but that most likely is because your metabolism has been downregulated and it's in the toilet, right? And so once you understand that concept, you also understand the concept that you can rebuild it. Now, again, let's say that you have been in a sedentary lifestyle for 20 years, okay? It's fine, but just also know that once you start to exercise and once you start to eat this way, that you will start to gain weight at first. Just please understand that and don't freak out. That is why the scale is not a good idea. When you're building your metabolism, you're also building key enzymes that store more glycogen, and your body is essentially saying, you know what? I don't know when I'm going to be able to eat again, so it starts to store because it's been so erratic in its eating behavior. But once you start to eat frequently and in this pattern that you're seeing on your screen right now, you will gain weight at first, most likely. Okay? Don't freak out. There is a physiological reason for this. Here's the other side of it. Once the body says, okay, I'm not going to be starved, if you've been on diets or if your metabolism's compromised, once your body starts to get what it needs, it says, I'm not getting starved. And it's magical what happens. You'll start to drop weight hand over fist. Sometimes it's beyond even 2-3 pounds a week. Okay? So, this is about building a healthy metabolism. Just be aware of what I just told you when you begin your journey. Now, quickly, don't forget to hydrate. Drink half of your body weight in ounces. Example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you drink 100 ounces per day. Drink more if you're extremely active. Drink your water throughout the day. And drink at least 8 to 12 ounces. This is important, guys. Drink at least 8 to 12 ounces 20 minutes before a meal to enhance your digestion. How this works is that it goes down into your small intestine and it re-injects it into your bloodstream, into the stomach, and it creates a conducive environment and a water medium for the metabolism of your foods. This is extremely important. It helps to build your metabolism. I can't tell you how many times people have been eating great, but they hit a plateau and the X factor of water comes stomping on in. For some reason, especially in the winter, we can't seem to get enough water. Now, water means water. We're not talking coffee, tea, juice, or any of that garbage. That does not count. Now, I understand you can have those drinks every once in a while. Don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is that you do need at least half your body weight in ounces. This cannot be overlooked. If you want optimal health, if you want weight loss, if you want optimal functionality, if you don't want arthritis or a whole host of diseases, I cannot tell you how important this is. There is a book that you can read by Dr. Batman Gilage called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. If you really want to understand how powerful water is, go on to Amazon. It's called Your Body's Many Cries for Water by Dr. Batman Gilage, and it will blow your mind. Most of us run around throughout the day getting maybe 1/3, literally, we're like, oh yeah, we drink enough. No, you don't. All right, so make sure that you are getting enough. This is extremely important. Crucial for weight loss, crucial for metabolism. Now, let's look at the food prep essentials. And I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because it's not the most glamorous of information, but it is extremely important because hardly anybody does this, and then they get frustrated because they find themselves eating fast food and processed food and sugary foods and sugary drinks. Okay, so this is hugely important. The first step is called macro planning. These are essential. Here's your first sub-step. Make a sugar-free grocery list. Okay, now when I say sugar-free, that's processed food. That's living 80-20. So 80% of the food on that list should be good. 20% can be garbage for when you want to let your hair down. Okay, but be honest with yourself. Make sure it's not the inverse. Make it according to whatever your menu is. So you're going to make the grocery list based on whatever you're going to plan menu-wise for the week. And then get to the grocery store. Okay, not complicated, but never or hardly ever implemented. So common sense is not always common practice. Hate to tell you, my friend, if you are to live a healthy lifestyle for the rest of your life, this is absolutely 100% necessary. So you got to get into the habit. Here's sub-step number 2. You want to pre-prepare your foods. Now, what this means is once you buy the foods, you planned out your menu, you know what you want, you went to the grocery store, you got it, you got your chicken, you got the fish, you got your veggies, you got your fruits, you got your whole grains, whatever, right? Now it's time to come home and pre-prepare them. To give you an example, let's say you bought some potatoes and you think, you know what, I'm just going to have a couple of potatoes throughout the week for my carbohydrate sources. So what you do is you come home and you pre-prepare your foods. You literally get them ready for the week. And so what this looks like is you come home, you get a big old boiling pot of water, throw about 5 or 6 of them in. You think, okay, throw them in. Now, oh, I'm going to have salmon. So you pre-cook those as well. You get your veggies out, you chop them up, you get them ready. You get, if you're going to have, let's say, for example, a serving of rice, you get your rice cooker out, you make a batch. You get everything ready in bulk. That's what I'm telling you. Okay? So you're going to package them up if appropriate, you know, put them in the fridge, get them to where they're going to last for the week. And then this leads you to micro or daily planning. This is obviously common sense, but not common practice. But this is where you literally start to prepare your foods because it's already made from the first step. Now you're getting it ready for the next day. So for example, you say, okay, I'm looking at my schedule for the day. Got a meeting here, I've got a 2-hour break there. So you kind of look at your schedule, you say, okay, here's my time frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 regular meals, and it looks like I'm going to need a homemade protein bar and a little bit of fruit and a carrot just to get me through these little crunch times. And so I'm going to throw all of this into my cooler. You're going to see on the top picture here, you're going to need a cooler. You're going to need something to carry these. You see me and my trainers all the time carrying these around. This is because there is no way you're ever going to get, how can you transport your food if you have no mechanism for it, no container? So you are going to have this. It's just get used to it. Tell people that you're insane, you're crazy, because they're going to think that anyway, but get over it because this is absolutely essential. So essentially, you're physically having the food ready for the next day. Or if you need to just have it in the fridge and you're leaving in the morning for work, or you're going to be running the kids around, just make sure it's A, in your cooler, or let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, B, in the fridge and it's ready to go. In either case, you're just making sure that you have it ready. My last point, just to reiterate, this determines your success or lack thereof. That is a sobering truth, but it is nonetheless the truth. Those that neglect this simple practice will have to accept their own fate and resign themselves to it when they find themselves at Arby's or any other fast food place, or if they're pulling out some stupid healthy choice TV dinner. I call it stupid because it's not healthy choice. There's nothing healthy in there. Any kind of processed food is not healthy, and that is where the frustration comes in. So just know that if you truly are going to make a lifestyle change, this has to be intact. Now, I want to just briefly touch on the following, and that is the concept of being prepared but not too rigid. You want to introduce the concept of plasticity. Okay, so here's scenario number one. If you're unprepared, what's going to happen is you're going to get going throughout your day. You wake up, breakfast is going to be small. It's not going to be the largest meal of your day, so you don't get your metabolism going. Your cortisol, your stress hormones start to go up. You get irritated because you don't feel fueled up. 10:30 rolls around and you go, God, I'm famished. Well, you're not prepared, so now what? Where are you going to go? Well, maybe in the break room you see a bagel and some cream cheese. Well, congratulations. You just skyrocketed your insulin and your blood sugar, which led to fat storage. Okay, so this is not where we want to be. Or you're getting like a Nature Valley granola bar, which is garbage as well. So these are all processed refined foods, some of which are cloaked as health foods like the Nature Valley. None of these are going to be what you want. But if you're prepared, scenario number two, you're prepared with an A and B plan. You have your meals planned out. You have whole meals planned. And your plan B, like I just described, might be the protein bar that is laying in wait for a meeting. Or even if you don't need the protein bar, have a plan B. Have something in there so if an impromptu meeting comes up, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're called to be the infinite taxi cab driver, now you have a plan B. Oh, I got to go. Well, here's a homemade protein bar. Here's some sliced up bell peppers, and you're good to go, right? Or whatever. Just make sure you have a vegetable and a good protein source, and you're good to go. So really what this concept of plasticity is saying is that you need to always have a plan. Have something on you. Have a full meal if you have adequate time to sit down and enjoy it. For example, like if you had a rice bowl or stir fry and you had 15 minutes to eat it, great. But if you don't, if you have 5 minutes in between meetings, you pull out your protein bar and a quick carrot, a small carrot, and boom, you're good to go for another 3 hours. You're prepared, and that's the difference. This differentiates those that are committed to lifestyle change and those that are just interested in convenience. Okay, so we're going to talk now about setting SMART goals with your coach. Now, I love this saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. An old axiom that is, again, another immortal truth. Specific, measurable, accountability, realistic, timetable. Oops, I just went too far. These are your SMART goals. Now, a lot of us get up in arms when we hear the word SMART goal. Really, what this is giving you a target. Okay? What is it that you want? With food prep, let's take an example here. Let's be very specific about what we're going to do. If we're specific, you're going to find the rest of the goal, the rest of the SMART acronym flows effortlessly. So, we look at our planning. We say, we're going to be very specific. I am eating frequently every 3 hours, and I'm preparing my foods. Here's what I'm going to do. That's your stated goal, and here's how I'm going to do it. This is in the element of being specific. I am going to make Friday, and you fill in the blank of whatever day you want. Friday is going to be my grocery shopping day. This is going to be my macro planning day. Thursday is going to be my meal planning day. So Thursday, I look kind of an odd day, but oh well, let's just roll with it. So Thursday, I'm going to look at my upcoming week. I'm going to start to make my menu plan. I write out what I'm going to have. Okay, see, here's my meetings. I'm going to need some plan Bs for here. And I feel like salmon this week. I feel like turkey drumsticks here. Maybe I'm going to make a healthy wild rice concoction here. Okay, so I'm going to need this for my menu, this, boom. So Thursday is my menu planning, and you write it down in your goal. Menu planning day, Thursday. This is all part of macro planning. Grocery shopping day, Friday. Micro planning is every day at 7 o'clock at night. I get all my food ready for the next day. Now, look how specific I just was. I literally just mapped out what I'm going to do. I'm going to specifically menu plan on Thursday. And if you wanted to make it even more specific, at 7 o'clock at night. Then Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is my Costco run. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get everything ready and be prepared via my grocery shopping. And then every night at 7 o'clock is my micro planning. Now, look at the magic of this. Now that I'm specific with my goal, I've given my brain some just tangible food to eat. I know exactly what I want. My mind can wrap its arms around it and go, yep, that's exactly what I need to do. So I can take action on it. Now it's measurable. I can measure if I did it or not on Thursday and Friday. I can measure if I did my macro planning or my micro planning every night. Those are measurable. But saying, well, I'm going to do my food planning, there's nothing specific about that. There's nothing that your brain can say, yep, I'm going to do that, and you can't quantify it. The more specific you are, and you can work with your coach on this, the better results that you'll get. Now, I also need to be accountable. You need to be accountable to two people. First, your trainer, because they're the expert. You need to be accountable to yourself and to a loved one that's not going to BS you and say, well, come on, you did great. I could see how you fell on your goal. You need somebody that is going to be lovingly quaint and honest with you. Somebody that is going to tell you the way it is in a loving way. So 3 people, an expert, yourself, and a loving loved one. That it will shoot it straight and not delude you. They will let you know exactly what you need to do. They will be the one that says, hey, you know what? You failed, and that's okay. But I know you can do better. What are we going to do to help you next time? So those 3 people. Now, you also have to make sure that your goal is realistic. Now, in this context, this is easy. Sure, it's realistic to get to the store once a week. Sure, it's easy to do some macro planning on a Thursday, your menu planning. Make your grocery list and to get out and to do your shopping on a Friday. That is realistic. Now, it's hard work, especially if you're not used to it. Of course it is. This is the big rub for most people, because most people get to this point, they're like, I don't know if this is realistic. Sure it is. Don't delude yourself. Just make sure that you honor what you write down. Now, Parkinson's law is the T here, and this is the timetable. Let me give you a little analogy here. If I'm a professor and you're my student, and I give you an assignment, and I say, I am going to have you write a 10,000 word report that is due at the end of the semester, the day before it ends. When do you think you're going to turn that in? Chances are good it's going to be that last week, if not the last 1 to 2 days before the semester ends. That's Parkinson's law. We perform given the time limits that are imposed upon us. So give it a time limit, right? Or a timetable. I am going to do this starting this week. And I will have this goal, this habit perfected in 2 months to where I don't even have to think about it. So set a timetable. Set many timetables. I will start this week and I'll have the goal habitual within 2 months. So then what happens at the end of the 2 months, you have to be real with yourself and you have to say, okay, did I perform the way I said I was going to? Did I get my goals? So it's all about self-honesty. Now we're going to race through this meal prep checklist. Not going to spend a lot of time here because we've already gone over this. You can use this meal prep checklist when you are preparing a meal. make sure that you have these certain elements. Make sure your carbohydrates are low glycemic and around 50% as a general rule, just to start, okay? 30% protein, because remember, a general place to start is 50, 30, 20. That can definitely change depending on your needs, as we discussed. Did I add a veggie at my meal? At least to 3 meals. 4 to 5 is much better. So look at that. That is huge. Did you add your veggie to your meal? You should be having vegetables as the foundation of your meals, not grains, not starches or anything like that. Those are secondary. Vegetables are your foundation. Did you have two to 3 servings of fruit, depending on weight loss or goals? Do I eat every 2 to 4 hours? Am I creative in my food sources, meaning you're not eating the same darn thing every day? Now, I've got into that, I'm sure you have, but the body demands variety for many, many reasons, and I'm not going to go into, but just trust me on this. Am I getting bored? Is it time to change my selections? Am I preparing my meals ahead of time? And is my fridge filled with healthy foods? Now, honestly, if you were to look at that checklist and you're honest with yourself, that will keep you where you need to be. Literally take a screenshot of that and put it on your fridge. Honestly, this is huge. Make sure that you are doing this, okay? All right, it is time to take action, my friend. Here is your homework assignment. Select a specific day and time for grocery store shopping. Okay, simple enough. Select a specific time for daily food prep. That's your micro prep. The one before that is micro or macro prep. Purchase any relevant containers for food portability, such as ice packs, water bottles, food packs, etc. that we went over. And here's your resources. Okay. What I didn't put in there is to set healthy goals. That is also part of your action assignment. So you do want to start to set those SMART goals with your trainer. So consider that one of your action assignments. We made it. I am so grateful for you, my friends. You guys are great. I am so humbled that you are on this journey with bettering your life. And let me just say, if you feel overwhelmed by all of this, and this is a lot of change, and I know I'm kind of ardent in my approach here, and I'm kind of passionate, don't get overwhelmed by it. Just know that you're on the right path. You're making good change, and now you have these resources, you have these presentations, you have your trainer, you have all of us at Lifelong Fitness to help you on your journey. This is why we're here. And we want to support you mentally, emotionally, morally, whatever we can do to give you that support that is needed to make a lifestyle change. There is no better change. There is no more important change that you can make in your life. Think about it. That's not just some trite phrase that I just threw out at you. Changing your lifestyle to one that is healthy is the most important thing you can do in your life. Now, you might think, well, that's bold. Think of it. Any spiritual pursuit, any mental pursuit, any professional pursuit, any social pursuit, physical pursuit, all of this is contingent on what you put in your body day in and day out. I can guarantee you it has a huge effect on all of those elements. We just typically like to compartmentalize and put them in different compartments, which when in reality we can't do that. One part affects the whole. It's like the spider web. And I think what you're starting to understand is that this is a giant tapestry, a spider web, if you will, that is literally your life. So start to treat yourself with the food that is going to better you. Think about that. We hear this phrase a lot, your body is a temple, and I could not agree more. What does yours look like inside? These concepts and principles that we're talking about in this series are directly relevant to that. So make great decisions. See our little tagline there, train well, eat well. And if you eat well, you're going to live well. God bless you, my friends. You guys are great. Remember, never excuse away your inner greatness. And always remember, life is good. We'll see you in the next presentation.